You're listening to Fight the Fear podcast with Brett Morton and Jeff Hill.
Hello.
Come on in, grab a beverage, grab a seat, and let's talk some mysterious happenings in the universe.
Oh, yeah.
Montauk, New York, right on the coast.
Mm-hmm.
Way back in the day. Late 40s, early 50s. I believe it was 1940. What did I put? 42 through 44. There was a military base built, and they wanted it to be like an advance warning kind of thing, being out on the coast, worrying about naval attacks and things like that.
Yep, from the east.
Yep. So they disguised this place to look like a fishing village. So from the air, it looked like a fishing village, but there were these big guns, long guns in the walls of these cement structures they built in the woods and stuff. You can still go there today, and it's a park now, but everything's sealed off with cement. And I recently saw a video where somebody went in and found some of the old buildings. They're crumbling away. So if you get a chance, Montauk, Camp Hero, I think they called it. A lot of stuff went on there. The Air Force took it over in the 50s. They put up a big satellite rotating dish, and it gave off all these different vibes of Big Brother. You know, a lot of conspiracy theories came out of the place. Some of the things that people have theorized before I'll get into this other stuff, but some things that people have theorized were that there were experiments taking place there with time travel, with projecting your mind, invisibility, like cloaking, things like that.
Remote viewing.
Remote viewing is how they called it. Yeah.
Oh.
The other one was with the satellite. You could project beams from the satellite that could affect your enemies. It could affect people around you. It could. You could set vibrations at a certain frequency and feed information to people and sort of control them. So there's all these theories about that, controlling people, controlling the weather, all this stuff.
And those live on today.
And, you know, here's the thing. Scientifically speaking, when it comes to sound and frequencies, if you've ever seen where they take the board with the frequency board, I don't know what you want to call it, and they put the salt on it, and they hit certain frequencies, it'll give you specific shapes and things. Right. So there's this weird connection between sound, frequency, vibration, and nature.
Sure.
And they're trying to unravel that mystery and manipulate it. And so you're talking, you know, from the 40s and 50s to modern day in the 2000s. And I don't know how far they've gotten. I remember hearing that there was an embassy where they said the Russians were hitting them with a beam of something, sound or something, and it was affecting them, making them nauseous.
Yep, making them sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that can happen. I mean, you know, like a long range microwave or something. You know?
Sure. Everything vibrates. All your molecules vibrate at different frequencies, so it makes perfect sense. So the one piece out of this that I connect with, because we're talking about also the hit show Stranger Things. It's set in a fictional town in Indiana, Hawkins, Indiana, this fictional underground military base, and they've got these kids in there doing these experiments. And it sort of takes from the Montauk stuff, the Manhattan Project stuff, time travel, space travel, assassins, the remote viewing thing you mentioned. There was a book that came out in the 90s written by a guy named Preston Nichols, and he wrote it as fiction with a hard wink, because it was the only way he could get it out there for fear of his own safety, because he believed that these things happened to him. They were repressed memories that came back. And he said, wait a minute. I was at Montauk. I was at Camp Hero. I was experimented on to use my mental abilities and capabilities, and I was put in this chair with this device that could project me to find enemies, to eavesdrop, to listen, to physically be, or not physically, but sort of, what's the word, like ethereal, your essence, your being. And you could see, like you said, remote viewing is the best way to describe it. Somebody brought that up in one of the writings. to remote view and report back what I'm seeing of the enemy. You know,
and he felt like he actually was there.
And he was, and he had these memories that this happened to him, and he described, and other people described later on, there was this chair in this room with all this equipment, and you'd sit in the chair, and it would, you know, you'd be strapped in, and they'd turn this thing on, and it would project you like an astral projection at will rather than a dream. You know, a lot of people say they have out of body experiences, and maybe it's just a waking dream, or there's just so many different levels with sleep and things, you know, or sleep deprivation and stuff like that. But he believed that this happened to him like that. And other people came forward later and said, yeah, that was me too. And that they somehow erased their memories or somehow did things with the vibrations and things to get their mind, like to get you so distracted from those thoughts that you would forget it or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah.
He ended up writing, gosh, I want to say 4 or 5 books. There are interviews with him. He is a strange cat. The way I see it is like, you can take it with a grain of salt. You can believe everything he's saying, or you can be skeptical. But there's things that he was saying in this book way back then that people didn't even know could even be. He was talking about stealth technology. He was talking about an internet, basically, back in 1991. So It's like, how did he come up with this? He didn't just dream it up.
Yeah, right.
What frequency was he tuned into? You know,
some prior knowledge.
Yeah. So I'm reading this, and it's like, do you take it at face value? I'm just hearing what this guy's saying. He's saying all these things happen. They make a TV show about it years later, kind of based on it, you know, loosely. And they put it into a form where you can see it better. And I remember one scene, there was a girl, her name is 11. She's number 11. She's experiment number 11, whatever, patient number 11.
Right.
And the guy that's overseeing it is like the father. The doctor is the father, the adoptive father, whatever. And the military or something is pressing him for results, and he's telling them, I need more. You know how it is. They put that in a movie, so there's like that drama. I need more time. I need more funding, you know, all that kind of thing. And it kind of mirrors what was going on here, because like we loosely touched on talking about the Men Who Stare at Goats, Project Jedi. They said they wanted to stare at a goat until it died. They wanted to use the power of the mind and all this. And they said that absolutely zero useful information came from that program, but there's people from that program that claim, well, that's what they think.
That's
because there were other things that did happen, not necessarily the result they wanted. The military wants a weapon. They didn't get the weapon, but we got this.
They found other ways to use that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I do believe that the power of the human mind has such a potential that's untapped, that it's like a universe inside your head. Like, remember, what was that movie, Men in Black, where the cat had the little thing on its necklace and the necklace had a galaxy in it? I feel like that's inside your mind. There's a galaxy in there.
Sure.
I believe that we can time travel in our minds. And people say, oh, well, sure, because you're sitting
Memories.
there. You're remembering. But I believe you can put yourself in sort of a state of maybe meditation, maybe trance, and you can take yourself anywhere you want.
And I think what the mind thinks or believes, your body believes too.
Exactly. So in that way, it must be true, right? Mm-hmm. Whether you think I'm full of shit or not, you know,
it's an interesting concept for sure. But
where's the kid?
Bullshit.
Where's he at?
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but
so
who knows?
I'm going over to deep. I'm
Who's
going deeper on that side.
Yep.
But I'm trying to remain sort of devil's advocate, because I also want to say bullshit. But there's things that happen in life that you just can't quantify. You can't put it in a bucket, and you try to figure it out. And we get all these things lumped into each other. We get the little green men bumping into all these other things, then angels and demons and ghosts and goblins, and So you just kind of got to wade through and pick out the ones that maybe you've had an experience with. So my experience is kind of in line with this projection, this mind projection thing.
Okay.
I had an experience. I think I had it. I don't want to say I think, but I think it was 3 times total. But the first time it happened, I thought it was a dream. But something happened to convince me otherwise. So I was traveling with my parents. I think I was 20 years old. It was in the early winter months, and we were in a southern state that didn't have a lot of snow. There was a little bit of snow over the leaves.
Okay.
So you're hearing wildlife walks. You're hearing them crunch through the leaves.
So you're outdoors walking around.
We're at a family member's house for the holidays.
Okay.
I have my own room. I think we were there for a week or two. It was kind of a lengthy stay. I didn't have any other things keeping me at home, so I went with them. And so I'm having this dream. Now I'm going to give you the first version. Is I think it's a dream.
Okay.
So that's the first version.
All right.
Or chapter 1. I have a dream that there's sort of a man bear, a Chewbacca kind of thing, which is in my wheelhouse because I'm into sci-fi and stuff like that. So I'm thinking, okay, yeah, it's Chewbacca. I'm having a dream about Chewbacca.
Mm-hmm.
He's standing outside of the house. Somehow I know that it's this house that I'm at, and he's beckoning me, but he's not frantic, but he's kind of like, I can understand his body language is saying, I really need to talk to you, but I can't hear words. I can't hear sounds.
Okay.
Again, I think I'm having this dream. I hear his feet change weight. I hear the leaves crunching under his feet. I pay it no mind, right? I'm just thinking, I'm just having a dream. I'm thinking about Star Wars, and Chewbacca was here waving at me, and I saw a deer earlier outside, whatever. So the next day I get up, and something's like itching behind your ear kind of thing. Your hair's standing up on your neck, and I go outside, and I go to where he would have been standing in my dream, and there were a bunch of disturbed snow and footprints. They don't look unusual. They don't like a beast or anything, like a Bigfoot or anything, but there's obviously something was there traipsing around in the snow.
Like shoe prints?
Yeah, yeah.
Like human
just
shoe prints or
tracks,
something?
yeah.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, okay, that's coincidence. I'm not. I want to say a couple nights later, I'm having the dream again. Now there's 2 of them out there. I keep saying him. I don't know sex. So there's him. Let's just say the big Chewbacca with and I remember he had a white patch on his head.
Does he have a big dong?
So it's no dong.
Okay.
I think he had that in a bag though. So he's got a dong in a bag. He's got a white patch of hair, and there's a shorter one with him. And like I said, they're like these hairy creatures, kind of like a long-haired gorilla or something. Okay. I don't know how else to explain it. Humanoid, but I don't know. Didn't seem threatening.
Okay.
So now I'm in this dream again, and this is after, of course, that I remember everything so vividly up until a certain point. This time, rather than waving them off, I engage them in the dream. I leave the house. I go out to them in the yard. I can't understand what they're saying to me. They're speaking some weird guttural grunt language thing, trying to communicate, and then we touch hands or something, and then I can understand them, but I can't speak the words. It's like talking to somebody in Spanish, and what they're asking you, but you don't know how to say it back. But you're like, oh yeah, okay, I got it. You want it.
Sure.
You're saying cerveza. Sure. I'm saying sí. That's about all I can give you, right? Same kind of thing. I can kind of understand. They want me to come with them, and I'm thinking, what the hell? So where we were staying, it was in Virginia, and it was family property. Where we were at, it was a relative. I knew the lay of the land a little bit, and there were kind of little valleys and stuff. Nothing giant. It was just a little creek bed, little hollers, little creek bed, some rocky little cliffs and stuff. Nothing crazy. You could have fun just running around for the day or hunting or something.
Mm-hmm.
So we go down to this one little area by a creek. There's like kind of like a little cave, and then there's an opening. We go into this opening, and they're like, we need you to basically, it's like Avatar, be inside one of us to help us battle this opposing force. And I'm like, I don't want nothing to do with this. I want nothing to do with this. So again, this is like 1991, 92. So this precedes Avatar, but it's the same kind of thing. They want me to be an avatar. They want me to be inside this being somehow. And I didn't quite understand that. And then they're talking about like a battle, and like you can die. And I'm thinking, so if I die in this, I die for real? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, no. And they're talking, and it's like the fate of. It wasn't the fate of humanity. It wasn't the fate of the universe. It was just like the fate of their world, the balance of their world, something to do with me and a connection to me, somehow, some way. So I'm like, what do I have to do? And they're like, you come into this place. We do this, I don't know what you want to call it, a communal type little ceremony, and then you will basically leave your body and drift into this other body and become this warrior. And I was just like, what the actual fuck? Let's do it.
Oh, all right.
So,
all right.
I was just like, okay, I don't know what you guys are going to gain from me. Like, why me? But let's do this. So I laid back on something, a bed, a rock, of the ground. I don't remember it being cold. Like I said, we're inside someplace. It's just the two creatures. They're not menacing. They're not scary. They're bigger than me, but they're human. I don't know how to explain it. Like I said, covered in hair, like Chewbacca, like a Bigfoot, like a big Ewok. I don't know. Anyway, so I remember distinctly there's a little bit of light in this space, in this room, whatever, and I could see the outline of the bigger one and the outline of the little one. And it was like being on an elevator that slowly went away from them. Slowly went away. Okay. And as that's happening, you ever blacked out real slow?
Yeah.
Like when you give blood or something, and the darkness starts to come,
creeps in,
and it was like that. But I could still see perfectly that circular window of them. But as I got such a distance, I still had view of that. But then it was like being able to see out of two cameras at the same time.
Okay.
But it was behind me.
All right.
So now as I'm leaving that camera view, I'm entering another. And then, you know what I mean? Then there's kind of an ellipse. They pass, whatever.
Sure.
Now I'm in this, like a fighting pit, like an arena. And it's basically like, now the other one's there, but he's like in this battle, like a something on his shoulder strapped around him with a shield. And he's like, basically, I don't know what he's saying, but I can kind of tell he's trying to tell me what to do, how to do it. Now I'm in this different body. Now I'm this huge, like.
So you went into the big one's
now
body?
I'm like a 12-foot tall giant fighting machine dude. And I'm like, don't know what to do. Because, like, I'm not going to fight myself out of a wet paper bag as it is, let alone now you put me in this giant thing. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? It was flesh. It wasn't a machine. And I'm inside of it, and it's me. It's like Freaky Friday where they switch.
Uh-huh.
I'm this creature now. But if I die, I die.
Yikes.
And they're telling me to fight, and I got to fight one for practice and all this. And then it became sort of a blur. There was like smoke and flashes and guttural noises and explosions and fighting, and all this stuff was going on. And then I'm back in that room, but I'm like hurt. Like, I think it was like, I want to say my knee or something. It wasn't anything major. Mm-hmm. It was just, I remember like, oh, it got hurt. I got hurt. Like I'm inside this thing like a puppet, but I'm hurting too. Like I'm physically feeling this. And now I'm going back up, and there they are again. And they're like, we did it. We pulled it off. And I'm like, well, what did I do? And they're like, you helped. And I'm like, that was it? And they're like, well, when you did the training thing, you were actually fighting the guy. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I thought that was like a
took the pressure off a little bit.
right. I thought it was like practice or something, but I guess whatever went down. So I come out of it and like I'm thinking, now what, And they're like, we're gonna have to call on you again. And I was like, I don't think I'll ever want to do this again. So I consider that whole couple evening thing the first time. So I go back, I wake up the next day, I kind of feel something tight in my leg, kind of weird. And I'm like, I go back down out in the yard and I see feet print everywhere. They're just feet print, nothing unusual.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, maybe I was sleepwalking and just jacking around with a freaking rabbit or something, or a bear walked by or something, Nobody said that they saw me leave. Nobody said anything. I didn't say anything. I just kept my mouth shut about it because I'm like, who in the hell wants to hear me say this crazy shit? I'm 20 years old. They're probably thinking, what are you smoking? Whatever. And honestly, at the time of my life, I wasn't even drinking.
Mm-hmm.
So not that I hadn't before, just at that time period of my life, I just wasn't doing anything like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much longer later on, but there was another time later on, and it was back here at home, and I had a dream of them coming to me again. And it was almost like a reunion type thing. How have you been? Whatever. I could understand them better. We need you again. And I was like, nope, it's not happening. Let me give you inspiration or something rather than help you, do this. And
I'll talk you through it.
And they tried to get me to do it again. And I said, no. I can't remember how much time passed. I want to say like a decade. They came to me a third time, and I went with them again. And I remembered this time it was like, instead of being like blurry, like a dream, I remembered being like in their land or their realm or whatever. It just seemed like everything else around us, but without the modern buildings and roads and things like that. It was just very, it was almost like they were Neanderthal. And so there was just, everything was just basic tools. There was, I don't know how to explain it. Like, because I was inside one of them, they looked normal to me. And I was just like, what's going on? They're like, we have to survive this to become you. And I didn't get it. I just didn't get it. And then whatever happened, there was no other big battles or anything like that, but I just told them I have to go back. I can't. I have to live where I'm at.
Yeah.
We can never do this again. So like, and I'm having a hard time. Like, I don't have a problem telling you this because I figure you'd think I'm nuts anyway, but it's like, I believed that it happened to me, just like this Preston Nichols believed those things happened to him.
Sure.
So like, I'll go to my grave believing that I traveled outside of my body into another body, into another realm of existence somewhere. And I'll always believe that happened. So like, I'm not going to run around convincing people that that's a real thing, but I feel like it just touched a nerve when I was reading about that specific part of Montauk.
Sure.
When the kid said,
so what was the tipping point from when you go, it's a dream, till, was it the second set of footprints that you were
I think it was,
wait a second.
I think it was
first?
When I had the first initial dream, and it was just the one standing out there like beckoning me.
Mm-hmm.
And I went out the next day and saw trampled snowy leaves. You could tell there was something had walked through there, but it was almost like they doubled back to make sure you couldn't clearly see their footprint.
Gotcha.
But there was obviously footprints. So that's when I thought, well, something was here then. That's, maybe I was actually hearing somebody sneaking around, and just my mind was just playing tricks on me, putting it into a form that I could kind of understand, because we would see bear or deer out
Mm-hmm.
there, but I'm into sci-fi, so like the Chewbacca Bigfoot would mesh, But then the next 2 nights later, whatever it was, it happens again, and it's like, oh.
And then that convinced you
it just kind of
it's not a dream.
In my state of dreaming or sleep or communicating, whatever, I felt okay about it. Like I felt safe. Like they don't seem menacing. I'm gonna go see what this is about.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just the strangest set of circumstances. The other thing that comes out of a lot of this is when they talk about skinwalkers. So, like, did I become a skinwalker in someone else's story because I was in another skin? Or
Right.
so then I also think I don't even try to analyze it too much, but like I said, they seem sort of Neanderthal, sort of apish. So, like, did I go back in time? Did I just
Ancestors.
did I just go back and see something, and then you need to know that this is important to go forward, whatever. I don't know.
Or did they come forward?
I don't know that
To
anybody
get you.
went any direction. I just think that the portal that we went through to be together took me to where they were, maybe not necessarily when they were.
Yeah.
Because
Sure.
maybe there's
A parallel.
There's theories that there are multiple universes in parallel going at the same time,
Right.
with different happenings. We're on other ends of the table. We're different color. We're different size, different sex. We took a left instead of a right. You know what I mean? Like there's theories out there that
or the same time or the same evolution, so to speak, but maybe on different timelines. So maybe they're going to be where we are, but it's going to take 100,000 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
hey,
like,
who am I to say?
and they, and it's like for some reason, since then, because before then I never gave things like that a thought.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happened, and I remember that time that I said I'll go back, and I did it again, and it was the same process. And then that other time where I said I can't do this, we have to just let happen what's going to happen. We can't change. Maybe that was part of my subconscious talking to me. I'm trying to make a sense of it. But there have been things that have happened since then with other people there that saw the same thing, to where you have to say, okay, we saw something, but what was it?
Well, if it can happen to you without the sophisticated thought and equipment, now if they were doing that back then, purposely trying to get somebody to teleport, transport,
right? Then so
they opened a wormhole.
Huh? Or reading this stuff now, what if there was something nearby that was transmitting a frequency that would make you have these dreams, that would make you have these thoughts,
mm-hmm.
and drive you crazy, or drive you to a place, time, whatever. I don't know.
On the very basic level, it's like subliminal messaging, right?
Yeah.
Either a flicker on a show you're watching, movie or something. They just so fast you can't perceive it with your naked eye, but your subconscious does.
Yeah.
Same thing with audio cues, right? They could do that. So it's just another few steps up from there, where they're just, maybe you don't understand the words or the sounds that's being projected, or you can't even hear them. It would still affect you, I would think, in that same way.
Maybe there's a little hint of truth in some of that.
Sure. I have one thing that comes to mind that's sort of like that, except I didn't go into anybody's body, but it's along the lines of like the remote viewing. But when I was a kid, either nap time or I'd get in trouble, go to your room, go to bed, lay in bed. 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, all in that range. And it happened multiple times. I couldn't tell you how many, maybe 15, maybe 20, something like that. But I would lay in bed and I could see myself in bed from the corner of my room. Like somehow
outer body experience.
I was out of my body.
Yeah.
Looking down at the room, I could see everything in the room, my bed, me laying there. And I don't remember if I was asleep when I was viewing myself, but I could definitely move. I wasn't like paralyzed or something, but and it wasn't like that long, maybe a few minutes or maybe a few seconds, maybe 20, 30, 40 seconds, whatever, a minute or two, that I would be up there and can see myself. And I couldn't make myself do it, but then I haven't been able to do it since then, or
Right.
it hasn't happened to me since then, but probably a dozen times or more.
Could have been,
And random times too throughout those maybe 3 or 4 years.
yeah.
Weird stuff.
It could have been a reaction, your subconscious reaction to the stress of being told to go, you're in trouble, basically.
Right.
And then that's one of those things, like that's what I was kind of wanting to try to say before, was like, maybe these are abilities that we have that we can't figure out how to grasp enough to control or to repeat, to make happen again.
We always heard when we were kids, we only use 10% of our brain.
Exactly.
I heard that so many times. You only use 10%. Maybe there's some truth to that. And maybe it's just because they didn't know how the brain works and still doesn't fully understand it. But maybe there's some truth to that exactly. Like we have the abilities that we don't know how to access or control.
Yeah.
Sometimes maybe that's a good thing. But I would think there's a lot of untapped potential in the mind for sure.
Yeah, and I think I bet you, I'll just say this, it's not even a bet, I guarantee that's what a lot of these things have been researching, was you're not the only person that's ever said that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably not the only person that's ever said what I said, just in the way that I said it.
Sure.
It's a similar thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's an out-of-body thing. It just so happened that in this sort of dream state, someone's telling me how to do it, and you were in a dream or in a state of you were incapacitated of control of your physical, but your spirit or whatever,
the mind, the essence, the consciousness.
There's got to be in there somewhere a panel, a little guy with a control that you can get a hold of and you can steer it. And so I know that's what a lot of this research has been doing, trying to find a way to control that. And I know there's probably more success in that way than anybody's ever going to know, because first and foremost, if someone figures that out, they don't want anybody to know, because there's got to be a way to either weaponize it or commercialize it.
Sure.
So
get an advantage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's, to me, the sad thing about some of this stuff, because some of it could maybe help prolong life, help with, I don't know. It just depends on how people believe too. Like, where do we go when we die, or is there a way to leave the human body if it's too broken, transfer into something else, somewhere else, another body perhaps? I mean, there's all these things. And it's not to tip the apple cart over and start kicking around all these theories, but it is too, because why not? That's what we're here for.
Well, there's so many stories of people that are under anesthesia, like they're having surgery and they can see themselves having surgery. And I'm sure, I mean, your ears don't shut off. So some of the things that are said in the ER when you're supposed to be unconscious,
or when they're in a coma.
Yeah, and they can say what was said, and maybe your mind makes a visual around what you hear, but they also claim that they can see themselves being operated on,
people have come out of comas speaking perfect different languages, and they've never,
like a head injury, a brain injury,
never been taught that, but they heard it, and they just instantly recite it, and know what it means. I definitely think there's something with I guess we'll just say it's our soul, but like there's that thing inside of us, like when I was talking about our mind, it's like
our inner thoughts and our inner personality. It's like this glowing amoeba in space, and there's got to be a way that it can move around the universe. There's got to be. It's energy, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like when they say when you talk to yourself, just be careful it doesn't answer back. Well, I'm like, you know, there's this version of us, this being of us that's like layered inside of us, like you said, you were watching yourself sleep for 15, 20 seconds at a shot, or people have been in surgery. I can tell you, when I was a kid, when my mother passed away, that I swear I saw her soul leave her body just for an instant.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes maybe because you don't know where to look, you'll only catch a glimpse, or it's your subconscious wanting that. But I feel like as a young child, you're not going to have those types of theories.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe a genius or something, but I'm far from genius.
Bullshit.
But I swear that I saw that sort of ethereal. I don't want to say ghost because it wasn't ghost. It was like a sparkly,
the energy,
light colored energy. Sort of just her eyes rolled back, and that form of her just drifted up, and so you'd say, well, going to heaven. No, I think it was because maybe that's your essence is lighter than air, so it's going to float.
Mm-hmm.
And then where does it float to? Or does it have control of it? Or what happens? You know, but they say if it's energy, that energy never stops.
Never dies.
So
it just transforms.
So there's
shape.
like scientific ways to prove out some things, but then, like I said, to think it and have it appear, that's different. But like you can quantify energy coming out of your thoughts. You can quantify the vibrations having an effect on your body and the signals passing through you and things like that. So.
Right. Well, have you ever heard the thought that when somebody dies inside of a room, a house or something like that, you're supposed to open the window so their soul can escape? Have you heard that?
Not really, but I understand what you mean.
Yeah. So maybe there's something to the actual,
yeah.
you know?
I mean, I've often thought, like, when it comes to, like, haunted places, I'm like, well, if you tear it down, it ain't haunted no more. And it's like, I don't know. I have my thoughts on that, too.
Yeah.
That's probably another episode, but I think this was a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. It just touched the
I'm
tip of the iceberg.
And I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of dreams we have after this, and we come back next time and go, oh shit,
Oh yeah,
I saw that furry dude in the street.
out of body experiences.
He had a sign up that said, we'll avatar your body in a battle for food.
All right.
All right, so some people think,
Bullshit.
but I think
Hello, motherfucker.
that's what I think. But
All right.
yeah, so YouTube it,
Yep.
Patreon it, Spotify it, Apple Podcast it,
Like,
YouTube,
subscribe,
like,
do all of it.
do the things,
Yep. Thanks.
and we'll see you guys next time.